Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm in the nursery and I'm folding laundry and putting it away. So I thought I'd do a laundry chit chat and tell you my birth story since we are doing the baby's clothes. So it's going to be kind of emotional and I'm going to try my hardest not to cry because I'm an ugly crier and I really don't want to cry on camera. So first let me give a little backstory. I've got really bad PCOS, which I mentioned in another video previously, and it took me and my husband 4.5 years to get pregnant with the baby. We started trying as soon as we got married. I was 18 years old. Yeah, I know, young, and I'm going to get a lot of judgment on that, but we've been together for so long and we were mature for our age, so I don't really see anything wrong with it if you're in love and you've got means to take care of yourself and your family. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So we started trying right after we got married and it just wasn't happening. I've always had irregular periods. I've always been really overweight because of the PCOS. So getting pregnant did not come naturally to me. So I heard about, my doctor actually told me about the low carb diet in order to get my levels right and to lose the weight. So I finally gave in and decided to try it. So I went on last year in May, about the beginning of May, about the middle of May. Yeah, about the middle. I went on low carb, and first I was just doing low carb, and then I heard about keto and I thought that might be a little bit better. So I went on keto, and from May I got pregnant the day after Thanksgiving. So to November I was pregnant. We were so excited. I mean, to have wanted something so bad and to finally get it was just like the best thing in the world, and I was terrified. We were terrified. Any little pain I had, any little ache, we freaked out. I went to the emergency room once, but it ended up just being round ligament pain because I was terrified of losing that baby because it had taken so long. I mean, it was a struggle. So my pregnancy was pretty good. I mean, I gained a lot of weight. Like, I gained like 90 pounds. 90 to 100 pounds, actually. And I didn't really have morning sickness all too much. I would get nauseous, but I only threw up like 3 times. So I didn't really have morning sickness all that bad, and my problem with pregnancy that I had was depression. Depression hit me so hard at about 15 weeks. Depression hit me so hard. Like, I would cry for no reason, and I would say that I wasn't going to be a good mom, and the baby deserved better, and my husband deserved better, and it was rough until I would say around 25 weeks. So from about 15 to 25 weeks, it was really super rough on me. Like, I had a really hard time with depression. But then after that, it just started slowly getting better. And like, it just stopped one day. I mean, it was just quit happening, and I was so happy when it finally happened. And it finally stopped because I was literally going crazy telling myself, you know, these things that I know now aren't true. But back then I had convinced myself that everyone in my life was better off without me, and it was really hard. You know, I had friends and family that helped me through it, and then I had family and friends actually who didn't understand why I was so depressed, and it's like, you should be the happiest that you've ever been in your life because you finally have this baby that you've been wanting for so long. But they just didn't understand that it was the hormones, and it was horrible. Like, I wouldn't wish depression on anyone, especially during pregnancy, because it was not good on the baby and it wasn't good on me. But fast forward to about 33 weeks. Yeah, I was 33 weeks. I went in to the doctor because I wasn't feeling my baby move, and I was bleeding, and I hadn't bled my whole pregnancy. Like, I didn't have well, just left me. Implantation. Yeah, sorry. I didn't have implantation bleeding or anything, so I hadn't bled through my whole pregnancy. Well, I wake up this day, and you know, the day before that she wasn't very active, and it scared me really bad. And well, I went to the bathroom that morning and I was bleeding. So my husband was already at work at this point, so I called him, and he had to leave work and come and get me, and he took me to my doctor because I called her and she told me to come straight in and they would check it. Turns out the baby was perfect. I mean, she was fine, but I was already having contractions, so they had to put me on medicine to stop it, and it didn't really work. I mean, she stayed in, but I was still having contractions. They just wasn't as strong, I guess. So I guess it worked, but it didn't work like I thought it would. But anyway, so after that I had to start going in like every week and getting monitored and making sure my contractions wasn't too strong, and they would check me and all that. So I had to start going weekly, which meant I got ultrasounds almost every time because they had to keep checking her, which I was excited about that because I love getting ultrasounds. Like, I loved it. It was the best thing in the world just to look up on that screen and see her. Something I never thought I would have. It was amazing. It was so amazing. But anyway, so I went one time I was 37 weeks. Yeah, I was 37 weeks, and I had to go by myself this time because everyone was at work and no one could get off, so I was by myself. And I had to take a 24-hour urine test because my blood pressure had been so high and they were worried about preeclampsia. So I took my urine test and I went in to be monitored, and the baby's heart rate wasn't doing right and she wasn't moving. I was having contractions. So my doctor comes in and she says, you know, your results are back for your preeclampsia test and you are preeclamptic. Your results are very, very bad, and you're only 37 weeks, and we want to keep her in, you know, until at least 39 weeks, but that just don't look possible at this point because the baby is very inactive now, and she was a very active baby before that. So I went in by myself this day, my first baby, after trying for so long, and they tell me her heart rate's not right, she's not moving, you're preeclamptic, you know, it scared me. That's the scaredest I believe I've ever been in my entire life. So they called my husband, or I called my husband, and they told me that I would have to go in and get induced, and if the baby's heart rate didn't act right, that they were going to go ahead and just do an emergency C-section because something's not right. So I called my husband, and he worked like an hour away from the hospital, an hour and a half, something like that. So he had to drive there. So I was at the hospital by myself for a little bit, and I couldn't drive because I was such a nervous wreck. So my doctor had to get her medical student to drive me to the hospital because I was a absolute wreck. I didn't know what to expect. I was scared. I was by myself. They were saying my baby's heart rate wasn't right. So I was completely and totally by myself. So they took me to the hospital, and my husband was there. He must have flew, literally flew, because he was there almost right after I was. So we get there and they hook me up to the monitor, and she's still not doing right. So they gave me some blood pressure medicine to see, you know, if maybe it's because my blood pressure was so high that it was just causing her to go into distress. So they give me some blood pressure medicine, and it starts calming down, and she starts, you know, doing better. So they wasn't very concerned at that point, and they said, you know, we'll start your induction tonight about 9 o'clock. At this point it was probably like 3, I would say, about 3, and this was on the 25th of July. So it's about 3 o'clock, and I was there, and they said they would start my induction about 9. So I called everyone in my family, so they weren't expecting anything to happen very soon. So no one, I mean, there was a few people came and visited, and no one really stayed, and so I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. This whole experience was so traumatic to me. I mean, everything about it. It was amazing, but it was also so traumatic. So my thoughts are just all over the place right now, so I really do apologize. I really should have took notes so I could talk better, but this whole thing is hard. So about 9 o'clock they came in and they gave me the thing that they insert in you to help you dilate better. At this point I was already like a 2, and I was like 90% effaced. So I mean, I was progressing pretty good on my own, but they went ahead and they put that stuff in me, and I started dilating a lot faster than they actually thought I would. They came in an hour later and checked me, and they was like, okay, you're dilating pretty quickly and you're progressing a lot faster than we thought you would, so we're going to go ahead and start you on Pitocin. So they started me on Pitocin, and of course my contractions picked up and they were really, really painful. So I got the epidural which ended up being a huge mistake because it messed with my blood pressure. Like, my blood pressure just bottomed out. I mean, it literally bottomed out, and I almost passed out, and I got really, really sick. So they had to quit giving me medicine through my epidural. So my epidural did not take, which sucked because it hurt so bad, and then to not even really be able to use it was like a big slap in the face. But anyway, so they slowly started to up the medicine in the epidural, and it finally started responding a little bit better, but it still wasn't doing much. I went a little bit numb, but not a whole lot, so I could still feel it. It's pretty painful at that point because I was really having some strong contractions. Well, my doctor was busy at this point. She was at her office instead of at the hospital with me, so I had to have a different doctor than I had been seeing, which really upset me. And I'm gonna switch doctors after this anyway because of how I was done. And not just that, I mean, I was put in the hospital, I think at 34 weeks, I forgot to mention this, I was put in the hospital because I was having contractions so strong. My blood pressure was so high, and they thought I was going to have her then, but they stopped it. And she wasn't there for that either. She was on vacation. So I didn't like that doctor. I only seen her like 3 times. My whole pregnancy, I only seen her like 3 times, okay? And I seen the nurse practitioner, which I loved her. She was awesome. But that's not the point. She wasn't the one who was going to deliver my baby. My doctor was. But she ended up not being the one to deliver her anyway, so I guess it don't really matter. But anyway, so this doctor comes in, and I'd seen her. She took care of me whenever I actually got put in the hospital, so I knew her, thank God. She comes in and she says, you know, your baby's heart rate's not doing right. She's not moving. Something's not right. So we think it's best, if it's up to you, but we think it's best if you go ahead and have an emergency C-section. I was so scared. I wasn't scared because of me. I wasn't scared because I didn't want to feel pain, or I didn't want to. I wasn't scared because of me. I was scared because something was wrong with my baby. We didn't know what it was. So I agreed to the C-section because there was 2 things I didn't want. 2 things at the beginning of my pregnancy. I said I do not want a C-section and I do not want to be induced. And both things happened. So that was very upsetting to me. So upsetting. So they take me back for my emergency C-section, and my husband's sitting there holding my hand, and they make the first cut and I don't feel it. I was like, yeah, I can do this, it's okay. They get to cut my uterus and I'm not numbed. I mean, I could feel every little thing. They were so quick, they had to go so quick to get her out because something wasn't right, that they couldn't get me numbed in time. So I could feel everything. That's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Absolutely the worst pain that I've ever experienced in my life. I look back now, and yes, it was worth it. I would do it 1,000,000 times for my baby. I would experience that 1,000,000 times for her. But that was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I don't really remember much after that because they gave me some more medicine. But they ended up having to sedate me and put me to sleep because I could still feel it. I was still screaming, and my husband said it was very bad. He said it scared him really bad because I was screaming so bad, and I remember the pain, and it hurt so bad. So bad. I felt like my face was numb, but nothing else was. And I'm pretty sure it's not how that's supposed to work. But anyway. So after, they couldn't put me to sleep until after they cut the umbilical cord. The last thing I remember, the very last thing I remember before I went to sleep, was them saying she's out. And I didn't hear her cry. And the last thing that I said before I went to sleep was, why is she not crying? And I was gone. Don't remember anything. Next thing I remember, I'm waking up under the surgery lights after they get me sewed up and after they get me on the other bed, and I'm covered up. I didn't know if my baby was okay. I didn't get to see her. I didn't know how she was. The only thing I remember is that she wasn't crying before I fell asleep. So I didn't know what was going on. My husband wasn't in there anymore. They made him go out. So I didn't know. And I was so scared because I was so groggy. And I remember asking the doctor, I said, where's my baby? Is she okay? They told me yes, she's fine, she's perfect. And she's better than they thought because they thought that she was gonna have to go to the NICU. Thank God she didn't. So they took me back to my room. And my husband came in and he held my hand. And he told me how beautiful she was. And I still hadn't seen her. I didn't know what she looked like. That was the most heartbreaking thing for me, is to know that I was asleep and I didn't get to see her come into the world. And I didn't get to see her face. And I told my husband, I said, she wasn't crying. He looked at me, he said she wasn't. She was looking around and she was just looking at the world that she had just entered, and she was perfect. She was perfect. She entered the world on July 26th at 11:57 a.m. via emergency C-section at 7 pounds and 3 ounces and 20 inches long. She had no further complications. Nothing. She wasn't jaundiced. Everything was perfect. Everything. The reason that her heart rate was not right and that she was in distress was the cord was around her neck. And it could have went very different if I would have said, no, I'm gonna have her natural, because that's what I had planned. And I'm so thankful that I wasn't stubborn and that I went ahead and had the C-section, because things could have went very, very different. So they asked me finally after I woke up a little more, because I was so groggy. I don't hardly even remember seeing her for the first time. I barely remember anything. I remember my husband sitting beside of me and asking me if I wanted to see her, because I was crying, saying this ain't fair, I want my baby, because everyone else had got to see her but I didn't. So once I woke up a little more, they brought her to me. Oh God, love it.
That's your baby.
Oh, you're such a little miracle. Oh God. I love you, Caroline. Mommy loves you so much. I will never forget how perfect she was. She had a head full of hair, and I didn't expect that because I was bald until I was 3, literally. So I didn't expect her to have a whole lot of hair. She had a head full. And she was just perfect. 10 little fingers, 10 little toes, perfect little nose. And that's a whole nother story, because I was scared she's gonna have my big nose, and I cried when I got my 4D ultrasound because I thought she had a big nose. I was screaming, crying, literally. And it scared me. But anyway, back to, she was just perfect. She was chubby and healthy, and the moment she laid her eyes on me, she knew I was her mommy. And I have such a bond with her. And I was terrified I wouldn't have that bond because I didn't get to hold her when she first came out. I didn't know this at the time, but my husband wouldn't hold her and wouldn't let anyone else hold her until I got to hold her. It meant so much to me. You don't even know how much that meant to me. I'm supposed to be folding clothes, but I'm sitting here crying instead. So they brought her into me, and I held her for the first time, and it was like the best feeling in the whole world. And she was perfect. And she looked up at me, and she automatically knew I was her mommy. It was amazing. She didn't have to go to the NICU. She went after like 30 minutes straight to my room and got to stay with me. And I was so excited. She was just perfect. But anyway, so I wanted to breastfeed. That was like my number one thing, is I really wanted to breastfeed. But because of the medicine they gave me to put me out, I couldn't breastfeed for 24 hours. so she had to take formula. And I really think that messed everything up. She latched good the next day when I could finally breastfeed. She latched good, but I just wasn't producing the milk. I tried for weeks. I would sit and bawl my eyes out, thinking I was a horrible mother every time I had to give her formula, because I wanted to breastfeed so bad. And you know, they say breastfeeding's good for them, and oh, believe me, I know it's good for her. But I just couldn't do it. I tried, I pumped, and I latched her, and I tried everything. I drank the tea and vitamins and everything you're supposed to do, and ate what I was supposed to, and I was not producing milk. I mean, I was getting not even an ounce out of each breast when I would go to pump. So that's not enough. Not even a half ounce, really. I gave her what I could. Whatever I pumped, she got. I gave her what I could, and I latched her all the time. But I didn't get to breastfeed like I wanted to, and I finally just had to accept that I wasn't giving enough milk, and I finally completely dried up, and so she's on formula. And you know, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate comments on that, but at least my baby's fed. And I tried. It's not like I just didn't try. I tried. But fed is best, and I firmly believe that. And she is perfectly healthy. She is almost 4 months old now. Almost 4 months. She's like 3.5 months old. And she's chubby, and she's funny, and she loves to smile and play and coo, and she loves her mommy and her daddy. She sleeps almost through the night. She sleeps until about 5 o'clock in the morning, eats, and goes back to sleep till about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Couldn't ask for better. Now the first few nights, or the first 2 months really, it was horrible. I mean, she would not sleep like she was supposed to sleep, and she had her days and nights mixed up, and I was a mess from hormones, so I just cried all the time. But it's okay. I finally figured out how to get her to sleep right, and she started sleeping and only getting up like every 2 to 3 hours, which was better than nothing, because I went 5 nights with no sleep. Literally 5 nights. And my husband had to go back to work, so you know, I kind of had to, whatever. My cat is totally meowing at the door. He wants in so bad. Anyway, so the first few weeks home was tough. I mean, I was not prepared for that. I was prepared that it was going to be the easiest thing in the world, and you know, it wasn't anything else but lack of sleep. When I got her home, it literally felt like I'd had her there like my entire life, like she had never not been here. The only thing that got me was the lack of sleep, literally. So once she started sleeping better, and that's been this past month, I feel good. Everything's good. Everything's perfect. She sleeps. She's still in our bedroom for now. She sleeps in her pack and play in the bassinet part of it. And she's finally being swaddled. She wouldn't be swaddled when she was first brought home, so that was tough. That's why she wouldn't sleep, because she would jerk them arms and scare herself awake. But she's perfect. And she's finally sleeping better. She's loving to be swaddled. Her favorite time is bath time, guys. I'm not even kidding. That baby loves to bath, and I love it, because there's nothing like getting her out of the bathtub and lotioning her up and reading her a story, singing to her, feeding her, and getting her to sleep. It's the best feeling in the world. To go a year ago, literally a year ago, if you would have told me that I would be sitting here talking to you about my birth story, I would have laughed at you. I would have told you you were insane. I will never get to have a baby unless I adopt, which I was totally not against. That's something that we really discussed and talked about. But if you would have told me that I have my own baby, I would have thought you were insane. But I have her, and she's perfect. And I seriously, she's the biggest blessing in my entire life. I mean, she looks just like her daddy. She's got blue eyes. She's got chubby cheeks. I could just go on and on about her. But anyway, she is perfectly healthy. Everything looks great. She ain't been to the doctor in about 2 months. She went for a 2-month checkup and shots, and she's going to go back for her next round of vaccinations. But so I don't know how much she weighs right now, but last time she went, she was almost 12 pounds. She eats really good. Really good. That food is that baby's life. Not even kidding. So she's doing so good, and I'm so thankful for that. So yeah, that's kind of my story, and it's all over the place, and there's a lot more I could have told, or could have went into more depth, but I didn't want to make it too emotional. It was very emotional. It was very scary, but as I said before, I would go through it all over again just to have my baby. My cat is still going crazy at the door because I have the door shut, and he thinks he needs to be right with me. Anyway, so yeah, I hope y'all enjoy this video. It's a little different. I didn't even get nowhere near done folding laundry because I was too busy sitting here talking, and I cannot multitask at all, so I've still got a lot more laundry to fold. I've got a baby to go take care of. She's in the living room right now with my husband. My husband's got her because she's been a little bit fussy because she's teething. That's another thing. She's starting to teeth, so she's getting kind of fussy lately. So I didn't want to bring her on today because she didn't feel good, and you know, so, but yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry it's all over the place, and I might even have to refilm this. I don't know yet. I'll have to rewatch it because I feel like I left some stuff out. I should have wrote notes. Next time I'll write notes, because there will be a next time. Not anytime soon. No. That's something else. We want to have a lot of kids. I seriously want a huge family. I want, no joke, like 5 kids. I'm not even kidding. I want them spaced out like 1.5 years apart, 2 years apart. But I do want more kids, just not right now. So yeah, I hope y'all have a great day, and this video is super chill. I'm still even in my pajamas because I have done nothing but laundry today, and I've kind of just relaxed because I did have a kidney stone last week. I'm still not feeling too good. I don't feel very good this week and last week, so I'm hoping I start feeling better, but it's still super, I'm just sore. I just don't feel too good. Alright guys, if you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And there will be more videos this coming week. I've got to film some. I've got some certain ones planned that I want to film that I just haven't got around to yet. But anyway, I hope y'all have a great day. Bye y'all.